As you awaken in the decaying carcass of London, you find yourself in a hellish pit of decomposing bodies, twisted in their last moments, grotesque figures bearing the last signs of the human lives that once resided in them. But because of some incomprehensible twist of fate, you did not just survive the disease that has decimated those poor souls, but have enough life left in you to crawl out of the rotten chasm. The source of your vitality becomes quickly apparent to you as you are overwhelmed by unquenchable thirst. However, this is not something that mere water can sate. It is a thirst of a far darker and unusual kind, a thirst for human blood. It is year 1919, and most of the city of London has been decimated by the Spanish influenza. The corpses of the dead pile up on the streets, with most of the city's districts shutting down akin to dying organs in the failing body. As a civilized society falls to pieces, the remnants of it are claimed by ruthless savagery and survival instincts, in whichever forms they manifest, with only you having the complete immunity due to your newly attained vampiric nature. As a protagonist in this grim and grey city, you are granted a boon that is as much a gift as it is a curse. Under unknown circumstances, you were given an immortality and turned into a Nosferatu, forever cursed to stay in the dark, away from the burning sun. This is quite an irony considering your primary profession of a doctor, giving you an ability not only to take one's life, but to provide the vital medicine to preserve it. And this is probably the main point of the game and what will shape your story as it progresses. You're granted all of the necessary tools to halt the spreading pandemic, as well all of the incentives to indulge your animalistic thirst for blood by consuming the unsuspecting citizens that you meet as the events of the game unfold. Your actions will determine what happens to the city, whether it will be able to withstand the storm or succumb to the spreading pandemic. The marvel of the setting lies in the complexity of the characters that you encounter. They have their unique personalities, and their good deeds are often accompanied by their wrongdoings. More than often, you'll be put in the shoes of Dostoevsky's Fyodor from the Crime and Punishment novel. But instead of pondering on the morality of murdering the greedy old landlady to whom you owe the rent, you'll have to judge the lives of citizens of London, deciding who you would want to murder to attain more power and who you'd wish to spare. Considering that with every life you take, the districts will fall under a greater sway of a constantly spreading disease. The choices that you make will not be the easy ones. While some personas would be often virtuous, others would dwell in far grayer and even darker moral grounds, with people, as it usually the case when faced with a global disaster, displaying their innermost desires and their true nature. Of course, you can avoid taking anyone's life entirely, but that's completely up to you. For example, if you eliminate the thuggish looking mafia boss, you'll remove the last remaining semblance of a security force in the district and potentially give way to their chaos and anarchy. Or if you decide to rid the streets of a prowling murderer, you will kill the only son of an old innocent lady, with all likelihood leaving her to die from the pandemic. The game will incentivize you for learning more about the characters, making your choices more meaningful, and allowing you to realize the intricacy of the interwoven relationships of the residents, as well as reward you for curing them from a variety of illnesses that will inevitably assail them, allowing you to craft all the necessary concoctions and remedies. And herein is the biggest part of the game, since you will progress through the main plot and unveil more about the disease as you learn more about the setting, the parts of London where the events unfold, gaining more understanding of its often decadent social structure, and sometimes even wondering whether the moral decay has preceded the physical disease. Uncovering more about how its denizens have managed to retain the willpower to live and overcome the deteriorating circumstances, and learning more about your maker, who has so carelessly thrown you into the dark, unforgiving world. And most importantly, looking for a way to stop the pandemic. You will have a large array of abilities, with branching development trees that allow a considerable variety in gameplay styles, along with an upgradable choice of weapons, all of which can be utilized in a variety of combinations. The game prioritizes speed and agility, and you can definitely take on higher level foes if you are skillful enough at dodging their attacks and executing the right abilities at the proper time. The dark color palette and a slightly melancholic music gives a high degree of immersion, with the game going to considerable lengths, allowing you to glance into the individual houses and lives that were brought to an end by an impending disease that has affected all layers of society. Not to mention the intricacy and realism of portraying a vampiric society and how it is interwoven with ordinary humans in a rather realistic manner. The game is a fairly short experience if compared to gargantuan open-world RPGs such as Fallout or the Elder Scrolls series, with the main premise being rather compact and comparable to Dishonored. However, due to its interconnectedness with the progression of the main storyline, it does stay on point throughout the journey and makes it more meaningful, allowing you to complete it in a large variety of ways, with the whole spectrum of the possible character developments from being a virtuous man of medicine giving treatment to the despaired and dying, to succumbing to her animalistic vampiric side and becoming a powerful, deceitful, blood-sucking fiend, leaving death and destruction in your wake. Consequently, your actions will have a constant effect on your surroundings and the denizens of London. What is really notable about it is the intricacy of craftsmanship, as well as immersiveness of the world, which is very commendable considering that it was created by a small developer, not to mention the intriguing and complex storyline that, alike to a well-written novel, draws you in more the further you progress, and the ending being most satisfying and deep, giving you food for thought in the end. I definitely hope that we will see more projects from the company.